Howdy people, welcome to Project Zomboid. Project Zomboid can easily be described as an apocalyptic vagrant simulator. Depending on your choices, you can be a lone remnant of society, or possibly the victim of an unhinged sociopath. But in my humble opinion, being a victim isn't so bad. Sometimes they help you more than they harm you. However, the pain your friends cause you is meaningless when you consider that most of you won't survive in the first 6 hours. You can also play solo, which gives some quality of life changes, like the ability to manipulate time. Although, if you are not paying attention, this can easily be game over, as zombies randomly beat on windows, and they will break into your room and bite you. And since you're playing at high speeds, this will happen almost instantaneously. In which case, congrats, a bite is terminal, and buddy, you won't be lucky enough to make a wish. First things first, settings. Everything is adjustable, and you can change it to suit your desires. To directly affect gameplay and improve, or to detract from your experience. If you hate clothes, you can make them disintegrate instantaneously, or increasing the rate of your metabolism, taking you from a fat American to an Ethiopian athlete. First, go into your user interface, go into display, and change the aim outline to any weapon. Then you would like to lock your cursor to your window to stop any unexpected alt tabs. And turn off panning for driving, and turn on panning for aiming. This stops you from accidentally crashing. Also, you may change your time and temperature to your preferred metrics. Server settings. For player settings, turn on show first and last name. This allows easy identification and RP. Turn on sleep allowed, and you can turn on sleep needed. For safe houses, you are going to want to allow player safe houses and allow safe house respawns. For presets on the sandbox, I suggest initial infection, as this gives the most abundance of resources and the most pleasurable experience. For world, I would set initial gas station amount to infinite. In characters, I would change the XP multiplier to 10 or higher, depending on your liking. Also make it to where XP multiplier affects passive skills, as they are mildly annoying to level otherwise. Stat decreases to low, endurance to fast. Free trait points can range from 50 to 100. Player construction health set to high. Turn off clothing degradation, or set it to slow, as it is hyper annoying. Enable poisoning to true for in the in-game map settings. Enable allow world map. Enable allow known all on start. For vehicles, turn on car crash damage, and turn on the ability to damage other players with cars. For zombie lore, I prefer fast shamblers, normal strength, normal health, environmental attack, leave it on, and turn off damage player construction. For mods, I suggest the immunity trait and system, and tomorrow's immunity. This is because if you get bit, you are 100% going to die. Traits. Traits are basically a slider for how quirky and special you are. However, for every proficiency you gain, you must take an equal or greater deficiency. For art imitates life. The more powerful you are, the more the gods must disable you. Professions also come with modifiers and stats, and they have their own place of usefulness. Next up is skills. Skills can be divided into 3 main categories. Despite what the HUD says, there's movement, combat, and utility. For movement, there are 6 different skills. Fitness, which controls your stamina pool, and this can be leveled up by using your stamina. Strength controls how much you can carry and how hard you can bonk people. Sneaking, lightfoot, and nimble all reduce how loud you walk around. I cannot differentiate anything between them, but nimble makes you walk slightly faster while holding a weapon. And lastly, sprinting. This one is self-explanatory. Combat really just gives the opportunity to specialize in a certain weapon type. There is an exception to this, and that is guns. Reloading obviously controls how you reload the gun and different magazines that you can reload. The aiming skill controls your accuracy and damage. From what I can tell, the damage just lets you hit more critical hits, which I assume to be headshots. The aiming skill is hyper important because it also controls how often you miss. This can turn zombies from slow-moving targets to fucking Neo from the Matrix. Using guns is also a double-edged sword. On one hand, you can kill a large portion of a horde quickly. The negative is now you have a small, mostly peaceful crowd heading your way. Lastly is utility skills, which comprises of carpentry, cooking, foraging, first aid, fishing, electrical, metalworking, mechanics, tailoring,
well, I guess the
and
good thing is
trapping. All skills are mandatory to survive.
We don't need a
later
tire
on.
pump, do we?
As such, we will talk about them later on. Struggle cuddles can be avoided with good combat management. Pairs better with a light athletic build, whilst two-handed pairs better with a slow, strength-based build. In this case, you are a lot like a hermit crab, and like a hermit crab, combat is mostly a defensive endeavor by backpedaling, shoving, and stomping. Both of these actions are bound to the spacebar and are contextual. This means you can sometimes accidentally stomp instead of push, which can be very fatal. Self-care. Listen here, Queen, you're gonna be doing a lot of fighting and a lot of hood rat shit, so you are bound to get wounded. Next up is spawns. You have the following choices: Muldrach, Riverside, Rosewood, and West Point. My advice is to not spawn West Point, and unless you like large populations, trailer parks, and high amounts of substance abuse, you're gonna be in for a bad time. As the creatures that call that ecosystem their home are not only tough, but masterful in combat, making their bodies resilient and built for chaos and destruction. And meth. Every time I spawned there, within 5 minutes I was getting butt-fucked in a trailer park kitchen. Overall, I would rate it a terrible experience. Next major decision is going to be playstyle. Survival looks very different for each playstyle. Nomadic life is heavily based on few storage sources, so organization and dexterous goes a long way and is imperative and allows you to take a very laid-back approach to gameplay. Most gathering will be done by hand, as farming isn't truly viable in a nomadic lifestyle, but this can be bypassed with foraging, as long as you don't mind eating bugs and bouts of depression. And loot runs require you to move your entire home and risk everything to gain small amounts of loot. Truly a mirror to a hermit crab gameplay. Sedentary lifestyles have the funny trait of taking normal homes and turning them into crack dens. The benefits of your own crack horde is that you can do quicker loot runs with less risk of losing your loot, but your range is greatly decreased. This also has the added benefit of sustainability with farming and trapping. Now, whether you build in a rural or urban area, the first steps are always closing the borders and securing the perimeter. You have to take inventory and assess your situation. A nice rule of life is that your lifestyle should always be sustainable. Any dependency can be taken away faster than they were gained. Self-sufficiency is the key. Start a farm, construct your own infrastructure, and seek your own fulfillment. Story time! My current life begins in Muldrach. And first things first, we collect information and firearms. I started as a lumberjack, an alpha male, with some pretty good perks for nomadic life. I began to peruse the town, gathering the essentials in my desired tools. My friend and compatriot, Quandale Needlehand, however, found me first. Now, if you take one look at his drip, you'll know he is drowning out on the streets. His profession? He is a professional burglar. Some may see a stereotype. I view it as a coincidence. We decided the best course of action would be to split up and collect more resources. He proceeded to break into a large house and get surprised by multiple zombies. And bitten. Now, normally without the immunity mod, this feral retard would dismantle anything and everything in front of him, as his life is somewhat on a timer. This parallels with the human psyche, because once you become apathetic to the situation, all is lost. Therefore, in my humble opinion, this mod is mandatory, as most people act destructively, until he found out that he wasn't going to survive. Then he proceeded to make a fuck ton of noise, breaking into a house, and died in a swarm. This will likely become a pattern in gameplay for some. Thus, Quandale Needleham II was born. He is also a professional burglar, like his father. After we recuperated our losses, we hit the road and drove, gathering extra skills and any missing tools or reading material. We decided on an endpoint, Louisville. Once we arrived in the city, we took a little joyride, and we proceeded to do a series of drive-by shootings. And holy shit, this place is very populated. I have no idea that the game could even have this many zombies. I even saw the first hospital that actually looks like a modern-day hospital. And we explored. My low attention span, mentally challenged compatriot sprinted through the floors of the hospital without clearing, and got caught lacking and jumped. He was promptly bitten, and once again stopped caring about his life, as he was unsure if he would survive, and he started acting a fool. So we hopped in a car and sped around the city. He fucking died. Then he left. Once we got back on the game, I used spatial magic and teleported him to me. And then we hunted. And we hunted for Quandale Needleham III's father. After the touching reunion, we accidentally stumbled upon Riverside Mansions. And we instantly picked our favorites and began renovating. I chose this one. I just like the way it looks. I organized it and reinforced it, and I'm currently trying to build a fort where I will live out the rest of my days in fear, as I still do not know if I'm immune. Overall, I really like this game. It's pretty fun, and it can both be calming and intense. It is highly moddable, and you can make it do really whatever you want. It's as intricate as you want it to be. I think it's one of the greatest co-op survivals I've played, and I highly suggest it. It's $20 on Steam and $7 on G2A. Until next time.